Good evening. This is Jan Banker, your chaplain, and welcome to worship at Blackburn Chapel during Holy Week. Our passage tonight is from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 26, verses 36 through 39. Then Jesus went with them to a place called Gethsemane, and he said to his disciples, "Sit here while I go over there and pray." He took with him Peter and the two sons of Zebedee and began to be grieved and agitated. Then he said to them, "I am deeply grieved, even to death. Remain here and stay with me." And going a little farther, he threw himself on the ground and prayed, "My Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass from me. Yet not what I want, but what you want." This year, Holy Week is a time of precaution and dread. Something insidious and ruthless, an invisible and potentially deadly microscopic coronavirus has been congregating in many of the places and at many of the types of activities that 21st century people especially enjoy. Birthday parties, weddings, travel to family and for vacations of cultural explorations, conferences that confer lifelong learning for every profession and for retirees, and even at sad occasions of a funeral for loved ones. Yes, this virus prefers close contact in large groups, which is exactly some of the best features of living in communal life at a continuous care retirement community. Here at the Shores, we like eating together in the dining room with new residents and friends, or popping over to Crossroads for a late meal and a warm cookie and a friendly face. From what I've observed, you enjoy concerts, just a tram ride, or a leisurely walk over to the gallery, and you value the opportunity to ask questions to our executive director at crowded town hall meetings. You residents have fun playing bingo and bridge, swimming in the pools, and shopping at the corner store where you can buy local honey, a Milky Way candy bar, some laundry detergent, or a fashionable floral scarf. You residents like the competition and camaraderie of bocce ball and pickleball. We enjoy contemplative prayer here in the chapel, programs with Eckerd students, the periodic Bible studies in Parkside South, and lectures here in the chapel on theology and love. We really like exercising together in Bodies of Motion because it can be kind of boring to exercise alone and easier to decide not to do it at all. And we cherish worshiping together here in our quaint Blackburn Chapel. We treasure singing in the choir together and rehearsing with Dwight Thomas. We're inspired hearing the faith stories of one another and value learning about the charities we support when their CEO or community outreach staff visit us to share their mission. And we have the privilege and appreciate the opportunity to be generous through our weekly offering and to make a difference for the vulnerable in our city, especially children and their families. You can't really see, but this chapel is definitely empty right now and is of late, but I can picture you in here. And I easily remember so many Wednesdays and special moments when we were together. I really miss you. I miss your physical presence, but I feel you in my heart, and I hold you close. Both Passover and Easter will be celebrated this week in very intimate, tiny gatherings between couples or households and from our computers and smartphones. The sanctuaries of synagogues and churches will be closed because a spiky, predatory virus stalks neighborhoods, airports, hospitals, churches, and settings where contagion is high, including prisons and homeless camps and certain types of senior accommodations where a lot of hands-on care is needed and given. Our lives and our daily routines have been totally disrupted, but we are cocooned here from escalating tragic scenarios and epicenters in this pandemic, such as New York City and their overburdened, undersupplied hospitals, whose staff are getting ill as they care for a flood of patients with COVID-19 inundating their ERs and ICUs. With a daily influx of news about how many around the world are infected with the virus and how many died yesterday, we can easily imagine how a cascade of events gain speed and with a domino effect that no one individual can stop. Helplessness can begin to feel like a kind of betrayal. Holy Week began 3 days ago with Palm Sunday. Tradition calls the story of this time in the life of Jesus as the Passion. The passion that's truly noteworthy is Jesus' passion to usher in the loving and transformative kingdom of God, even though it became clear early on that this would be a fatal pursuit. The pursuit would also produce moments of disappointment and anguish for Jesus along the way, as well as physical suffering. His own disciples would be the very ones who would turn Jesus in and scatter to the four winds at the first sign of trouble and swear they never knew him. They'll turn out to be cowardly, overcome by fear for their own lives, and quickly abandoning their better selves. Many real human dramas are stories of betrayal and denial and loss of character. And we're in a real global human drama right now, aren't we? With all these elements and more. But we are fortunately very far away from the epicenters, and in our shores cocoon, we are well cared for and safer than most. And for that, I am daily grateful. From our text, in the Garden of Gethsemane, Jesus is uncharacteristically hesitant, vulnerable, human. He is troubled and agitated. My Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass from me. Yet not what I want, but what you want. I keep thinking about healthcare workers in hospitals and nursing homes, from housekeepers and CNAs to nurses and doctors, and I bet you do too. A rather high percentage of them catch this contagious virus because they're in such close contact with those who are seriously ill as they provide care and treatment for them. They know they're at risk, and at some level their precarious situation must trouble and agitate them. But they seem to have a heart for others and a commitment to care for the well-being of patients and residents and others in need of medical care. And they practice courage over and over again, and even when they're completely exhausted. So staying at home or quitting just to let this pass cup from them is not an option for most. So that's why there are signs around our campus and in yards in my neighborhood thanking healthcare workers for their sacrifice, for their offering for others, for you and for me and for our loved ones and friends. And that's why we hold them in our prayers, because they are at risk. They're in the thick of the danger of this unfolding pandemic drama. God does not want or desire suffering for us, not in this current drama or in any dramas of our own making. Suffering is not some rite of passage, not something God requires for the faithful. Suffering is, however, an unavoidable part of the human condition, one that some take on by a choice and sacrifice of what I call these noble proportions. Suffering happens when you're designed by your Creator to love and form lasting attachments to others. Suffering is inevitable when you inhabit a living body not engineered to stay alive without the heart beating, or the lungs taking in oxygen, or the liver removing toxins, a body not designed to effortlessly stave off every viral or every bacterial infection that enters uninvited. Suffering occurs in terrible proportions when pandemics strike, or wars waged, atomic bombs dropped, or guns fired at music festivals or elementary schools, synagogues, or churches. Suffering is not God's desire for humanity. Suffering is not God's desire for you. At least during this pandemic, the weapons and characteristics that we need to triumph over this virus are the best of humanity rather than the worst. Our instruments of victory will be those of mass healing and mass inoculation, not those of mass destruction. Our generosity, selflessness, and inner peace will be what is helpful and what we'll want to spread to others. If we can stay calm about what's going on and what might happen, we can help our loved ones stay calm and help other residents and staff here who might be frightened. A life well lived already has meaning and purpose. times and is not terrified of life coming to an end. We are mortal. We are well aware that our lives have a limited lifespan and will most certainly not continue indefinitely. We do not have to grasp our lives to save ourselves. We can practice a self-emptying for others. This may be what salvation looks like in these unprecedented times. The fruits of the Spirit: joy, peace, patience, kindness, generosity, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Spreading across the globe, their inoculations for well-being for one and all. God in Jesus became human like us that we might become more like him in self-emptying, forgiving, non-rivalrous love that gives itself away for the well-being and flourishing of others. See how you can give yourself away this Holy Week for the well-being of someone else. In Jesus' name, amen. And now I dismiss you with the benediction we have enjoyed singing together in this chapel. Go now in peace. Never be afraid. God will go with you each hour of every day. Go now in faith, steadfast, strong, and true. Know God will guide you through this drama too. Go now in love and show love for the world. Reach out in some way to others so no one feels afraid. God will be near, calming chaos and fears. Go now in peace, in faith, and in love. Amen.